Om Shri Sai Ram. A loving and warm welcome to one and all to yet another divine satsang with another gem of Bhagawan's. As usual, we begin with prayers. 3 Sai Gayatris. Please join me as we pray together. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Sathya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Sathya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Sathya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. My most loving pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagawan and loving Sai Ram to one and all. Today's evening is yet another blissful evening for all of us, for we have with us another daughter of Sai who's going to be talking to us. And she's a student from the 80s batch, early 80s. She happens to be, in fact, a student of the first batch of the university. Please join me in welcoming Sister Vijayalakshmi. Born into a family devoted to Bhagawan, Sister Vijayalakshmi was a Balavikas student and a pre-Seva Dal before she joined the institute. She joined the Anantapur campus of the institute in the year 1982, and she had many memorable moments as a student. Some of them being singing the Thyagaraja krithi, Endara Mahanubhavulu in Bhagawan's presence in the year 1983, and receiving a sports trophy from Bhagawan at the campus's first sports meet in the year 1985. After her BCom degree, she went on to clear the Chartered Accountancy course in her first attempt itself, which shows how much Bhagawan's grace can elevate a student. After that, she returned to the campus as a lecturer for a blissful few months. After a couple of years, she moved to Japan in the year 2004, and she has been very active in the service activities there. In fact, she's even set up a local bhajan center there in the year 2010, and she's also been serving as an SSC teacher at the same center. She's passionate about Japanese doll making and considers it as a meditative art. She's the first foreigner to have completed the 14th level of the total 18 levels of the art form at a prestigious doll school in Japan. Currently, she works as a process consultant for a management consulting firm in Japan. It gives me immense joy to welcome Sister Vijayalakshmi amidst us today. For I look forward to listening to her experiences as a student from the 80s. And not just that, I think she's had many facets of experience. I mean, she's a multifaceted personality to begin with. From what I've read from her introduction, she has been an ideal student. So for excelling in academics, I think she's good at music. She's also excelled in fine arts. In fact, she says the Japanese doll making art, the art of has taken her to a meditative state. She believes that Bhagawan himself works through her as she makes these dolls. I'm looking forward to listening to her more about this meditative art, as she says. And please join me in welcoming yet another daughters of Sai, Sister Vijayalakshmi. Welcome, Sister Vijayalakshmi. The stage is all yours.
Sai Ram. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Shri Sai Deva. Pranams at the lotus feet of our Divine Mother Sai. I would like to thank Swami and the organizers for giving this divine opportunity to share my experiences, such that it allows me to relive those experiences and doubling the blessing. And I also want to give grateful prayers to Swami on this day, who has been the teacher of teachers, Swami who has been the teacher of teachers, who not only showed the right path to us, but also taught us by living through example. Sai Ram. I was born into a family of devotees. My mother, I believe, she attended Swami's birthday bhajans on the 23rd of November. And after she returned home, she partook prasad and she returned home and she got into labor. And I was born in the late hours of the 24th, early hours of the 24th November. My dad was devotee of Shirdi Sai Baba, and also he was following other teachers like Sivananda and others. And Swami was not in the picture until 1960s, when someone came and gave him a Swami's picture, gave a picture of Swami. I think that was one of those very old ones, which used to be in the mandir, the old mandir times, where Swami used to sit in the bhajan hall, and the photo used to be there where he seated on a throne with a flower. That photo was given to my dad, and someone said that it is given by a devotee, very old devotee of Swami, and I think many of you may have also heard about him. He has written a lot of books. Yes, this is the picture, and the uncle's name is Chidambara Krishnan. He is from Mukkudal, and those days he used to drive Swami to to the various places in Tamil Nadu. And my father had not known this uncle, but he thought, okay, he considered it as a blessing, and and that is when Swami came into into my dad's heart, as well as into our family. And since then, it has been only Swami who has been the unseen head of our family and a silent listener in every conversation, right from my birth, I would say, because as I said, Swami was already there when I was born. And the very first experience I had of Swami was when I was, I think, in the 3rd standard, or maybe 3rd standard, I think. It may be a very silly experience, but I would like to share, because I still remember it very vividly. My parents had bought a gold chain. I'm not sure if my sister is also joined and whether she remembers. They had bought a gold chain. And, as a very small child, I have 3 elder sisters and a brother. And as a small child, I was asking my mother, whom is this for? And then, it would have been definitely, it would have been one of my elder sisters. But my father said, it will be for someone whom Swami chooses. And then, I earnestly started asking, praying to Swami. I still remember that, I was praying to Swami, and then my dad took a shit in front of, I think he had put the children's name, and my dad took my name, and Swami selected my name. And that was the very first miracle, or I would say the connect and the bond that started strengthening with Swami. And that was my very first experience. Of course, it would have been a measure, or maybe it was for fun, or probably to iterate in our minds that we should pray to Swami. I think my parents had done that, but that was my very first experience. And of course, our house used to be the local Samiti, when Samiti was established. And my dad was the Samiti president, the convener, whatever we may call. And my mother used to do take the Balavikas, and I was a Balavikas student. Every Sunday we used to have the classes done. And we used to go for a lot of, and then of course there was a pre-Seva Dal section. I think those days we used to have pre-Seva Dal, and there was a teacher who was coming home and who was teaching with a lot of other students. And we used to do a lot of service. I think Narayana Seva, book binding. I think they used to call this PDRC in Tamil Nadu, that, where we will have all the devotees, we would just set aside a handful of rice, and then we would use that for Narayana Seva. And it was made more interesting, I think. My dad used to collect the dalda boxes those days, and we would paint with some Sai saying, some Swami saying, and then we will give it to the devotees. And then at the end of every month, and my sister, my other students will go and pick it up, collect it, and then we'll cook it at home and make it as send it for Narayana Seva. And same way, at the end of every school year, we'll go and collect books from various students, and we will sit and bind them, and then those books we'll give it to students or schools in the remote villages where they'll not have the probably the thing to buy those books, and we will go and give them. And our life was only with Swami and Samiti. And we had a very similar kind of photograph in our house where Swami would be sitting on a jula, and he'll be watching us from in the living room, actually. And we also used to do a lot of paintings. I remember my dad used to draw diagrams, and we used to paint, and we would send it across to I think exhibitions that used to be held in Abbotsbury from the the various samitis in the state. And I think the kind of digitalization or media's presence was not there so much, and we used to only be doing it by hand, the painting and all this stuff. And as I said, it was only Swami and Samiti for us. But then things became quite different when my sister attended summer course in 1978. And that her joining the summer course itself was a miracle. Because in Tamil Nadu, I don't know how, I'm not sure if many of you may be aware that college students used to be sent to Vrindavan for the summer course from various states, along with, of course, Anantapur students used to be there. And I think various states followed different methods to send students. And in Tamil Nadu, they would have a week program. I think sometime in, some winter time around maybe December. And then after a week of, the lectures and lessons on the Indian culture and spirituality, then there would be a test. And whoever is the district first would be chosen to send to Vrindavan. And my sister was already there as I think she was an MBBS student at that time. And I think there was a tie between her and another student or something like that, where she had to give up because she had her classes and starting in MBBS. And so she was very upset that she could not go. But somehow, things changed. And I think the other student, she had some other issue in the family or something, so she could not join the Vrindavan thing. And my sister said, okay, I'm going to, not worry about the MBBS classes, and I'm going to go for the summer course. And she went. And by Swami's grace, all her classes started after the summer course was over. So I think that was a big miracle. Why I'm bringing this up is because she used to send letters from Vrindavan about how the Anantapur, college students, how they were role models to the other students come from the summer course, and how Swami was, pouring his attention and affection to all the students. And that is how, I really started thinking that, okay, I have to go to Anantapur. Anantapur is the only option I have. And I think I was in 9th standard or something, but I didn't know about the +2 or the, the intermediate classes in Andhra, because I was studying in Tamil Nadu. So I didn't know about it. However, I had planned that I will go to Anantapur for college. So that was the decision that I had made. Of course, Swami had to bless, Swami had to give the grace, that was there. But then I started studying really, really hard, and I was doing very well. Unfortunately, by Swami's grace, I was a school topper in both the 10th and the 12th. And 10th itself, after the 10th, the school toppers normally go for science, field of programs. And my sister, two of my sisters were at that time, were pursuing MBBS. So it was very natural. My parents, all my relatives, family, friends who were doctors, they said that Vijay has to go for MBBS. And I was also a topper, so my school was pressurizing me to go to science, take up science. And I said, no, I want to do commerce, and I want to go. In fact, it was more for, I should not lose an opportunity to go to Anantapur. I said, I don't want to go for science. So that's how I got into commerce. And in commerce, +1, +2, we had history, we had economics, commerce, and everything. And with Swami's grace, I even stopped the school across both science and the civil sciences subjects. I was good, but being studying in a very down south area, Tirunelveli it is called, my English skills were not, they were quite low. And again, I went and applied for Anantapur, and we went for the entrance. It was tough. It was difficult for me. And for some of the English questions, I remember writing Sairam, Sairam as the answer. I'm sure madams would have had a very good laugh looking at my answers. And I really thought, okay, I'm a topper, I should get admission. But then the moment I came back from the entrance, I wasn't sure. And my parents were asking me to apply elsewhere, and then I said, no, I'm not going to apply. I said, if I don't get this year, I will apply again next year. I'm not going to go for any other college. And and then I was adamantly refusing that. But time was passing by. Days passed, weeks passed. We are not getting the results from the, from the college. And I'm sure Nimi will remember, the results were very late. They were given very late. And anxiety levels were growing. And just then one of our relatives, I remember, he had visited us. And he said, I think you should recite Lalita Sahasranama so that, probably Swami will bless you. And I started. And you will not believe, on the day I finished the recitation, I had the admission card on hand. And it was already July. I think it was time for Guru Purnima. So once we reached Anantapur, that same evening, we went to Puttaparthi. We were in the Purnachandra auditorium sitting for the, Guru Purnima celebrations. And I still cannot forget, tears rolling by as we were sitting there as a Sai student, thanking Swami always for giving that opportunity. I always thank you. And now, without that opportunity, I don't think we would have had the kind of exposure that we have had, the opportunity to have the Sambhashan, Sparshan, darshan with Swami. As Anupama mentioned in the beginning, we belong to the first batch of Swami's university, and it was an experimentation batch. And we had many, self-reliance programs. Apart from the, the technical classes, the subjects, we had awareness courses, electives. I think that is there even as a university, curriculum. But then the portions were very heavy during the first year, and we had yoga classes as compulsory for 3 days a week. And the rest of the 2 days we would have to go for chapati rolling one day and another day vegetable cutting. And each one of us had to take a self-reliance activity. And I had taken up accounting and inmates billing, in the hostel. I was working with Pushpa Madam at the time, and little did I know that I was going to pursue, accounting in my further studies later on. Swami really plans it. I think he just strategizes it so well for each one of us, Also, the college rigor, the discipline, I think prepared us for our life. There was no time for idling. Discipline was given the highest priority. And 9:30, the lights are off, no sound. You come into the hostel at 7:30, you would not think that this hostel has got around so many, 300 or 400 students living in that location. It used to be pin drop silent. And Swami always used to say, even if you don't get marks, it's okay, but don't get remarks. So that was his, general constant, comments. Of course, apart from all the, little advices he would give us. Being girls, you should do this. Being, once you get married, you should do that. And we would always think, Swami, we are still in the first year of college. We will talk about it later. That is the way we would think. But Swami was always very, very careful about the students, girl students. He wanted to make sure that the students show the discipline that he intended the college to be. So he was really paying a lot of attention to that. And whenever he would talk to us, he would advise. And again, those were the days when, I'm sure many of you would remember the mandir where, we had sand all around. And, Swami would wear garlands. And I still remember Swami coming into the Purnachandra auditorium. I think this was for Guru Purnima time only, right? When we first went, he was wearing a jasmine white and orange kanakambra flowers, and it would sway as we walked gently. It would seem as if it's also swaying to the bhajans. It used to be so very beautiful. And Swami also used to be having those betel leaves those days, and like the Devi, for during the Dashara celebrations, he used to look really very effulgence, and the thing, the beauty used to really get glow, will be glowing on his face. I think after that, the Dashara time, I think Swami used to, just sprinkle the water around all of us. I'm sure many of you will remember, in the Purnachandra auditorium, we would do that. And again, soon after Dashara, I think many of the other, that is the second year and the third year students, had gone back home because their exams were over, and they would come back after November holidays. I think for the birthday celebrations. We, the first year students, we went back to college for our half yearly exam, because the first year was not semester at that year. It was an annual system, and so it was a half yearly exam. And again, later, the end of the year, we had to do the entire year's program, because the entire syllabus we had to study once again for the exam. And during Dashara, we went and told Swami, we have our, I think it was Vijayadashmi day. Only the first year students, we went back to college, and Swami was going from Mandir to, Purnachandra. We were we were very close. I think we were only 40 of us, if I'm not wrong, the first year students, 36 or 40 of us. And Swami just, kept his hands on both sides. He blessed us, and then he said, okay, we are going to go, because the next day, I think we had our exams. And we, I think as first year students, as the first batch of Swami students, Swami was also paying a lot of attention to the details of how we were studying, the exams, the progress, everything. And yeah, it was that was after the exams, I think we came back. We didn't go home at that time for the holidays. We came back for the November birthday celebrations. And those days, I think Seva Dal used to be there, but most of the kitchen work used to be done by Anantapur students, I think college students, I think both Patti, Vrindavan and college, I think Anantapur, I think. Kitchen for the ladies section, we used to go for vegetable cutting. I remember we used to roll hundreds and hundreds of chapatis, puris, and we would go to, I think, bookstall for duty, the vegetable shop for duty. I think we used to do a lot of various duties during that birthday period, and then we used to come for darshan, for Swami's darshan. And in December 1982, I remember, it was a very quiet, I think the birthday celebrations have all gone, but holidays time again, I think we only had 3 days holidays during December, I think winter holiday before January. So we went to Puttaparthi. And that was a time when it was very nice, very, weather is, the wind is very cold and nice. And I think winter time, it will be a little bit, mist will be there on the ground, on the sand. And those, there used to be a tree on top, just next to the mandir. where there will be those white flowers, very sweet smelling flowers, they used to fall. And along with that, some ants also used to fall. And I think we were all sitting there next to the mandir. We used to sit. Anantapur girls used to sit there. And Swami came for darshan, and then we used to sit like kind of sharpened U, I would say. And then Swami, Jema Madam used to sit in the corner, Jema Madam, Pushpa Madam, Pilspa Madam. Swami used to come throughout the entire, three sides used to walk, and then he used to bless and go. I think one of those days, I think we were all sitting, all the students were sitting there, and I remember he came to us. I still remember some of the senior students who were all sitting there. We used to, whenever we used to sit there, we used to look up Swami's mandir, and we used to think, oh, would Swami have gotten ready now? Maybe he'll be coming down, he'll be having his breakfast. And that would be the kind of thinking it will be there in our mind. And one day he came and he told us, you are trying to remove the ant from the other person's sari, isn't it? He asked. And, we were, I think the girl, she was nicely, smiling because Swami is talking to us. And basically, he showed us his omnipresence, no doubt. At the same time, he said, he's giving us the message that we have to close our eyes and meditate and not be bothered about others. So he would, try to give us those lessons, little lessons, the effective lessons at the appropriate time, so that we are able to go forward in our spiritual, journey. In our own, we have to focus on our own journey, right? So he used to teach us. And I think at the same season, I think December, I have learned a lot of art from Anantapur seniors, crochet, tatting, knitting, and all the stuff. And I was very interested in those art forms, painting also. And I was just learning to make crochet from one of my senior roommate, Jagdevi. She was there in my room. And I was making a white and red sweater in using crochet for my sister's yet to be born baby. And Swami came near us. I think he was taking a letter from somebody behind me, I think. And I was having that crochet thing and the woolen thing on top on my lap. And the red wool, the ball, it just fell onto Swami's robe. And I didn't notice, because Swami, you look at Swami, you look at everything else, and then I didn't notice this. And after he finished that and he was walking back, the woolen ball is also going along with Swami, and the crochet sweater, which is half made, is with me. And so it is connecting. And then everybody, there was a commotion, and Swami just looked back, and then he said, Swami, and then I just quickly went and took the wool from his robe, and nicely, Swami smiled, and then he allowed me to take remove the wooden ball. And that was a very nice, a very sweet, that, the smiles and the blessings and all the stuff is something which is very, very, it just gets registered in our mind. That was December 1982. It was the first year. And first year, as I said, it was also a very, experimentation year for us, for the university also. As I said, it was full years, annual exam was happening. And I think by March, the Venkateshwara University, the other two seniors, second and third year students who finished their exams and they've gone back. And we were still studying, because our exam was, the first year exam was scheduled sometime in the first week of May for almost 2 to 3 weeks. And you can imagine Anantapur and Puttaparthi, those areas, extremely hot. And it was Ramanavami 83. We went to Parthi, and it was April 1st week around that time, and we went there. All the other senior students have gone back. We are only 40 of us. We were there in the hostel. We went to see Swami. And Swami was going to Vrindavan from Parthi. And so we were all crying. We said, Swami, it is very hot in the hostel. It is in Anantapur. It is very this thing. And why we only have to study? We have to be staying back. Everybody has gone back to their home, this thing. And you're also going off to Bangalore. That is our cry, basically. At least if he's in Parthi, maybe we can plead and come to see Swami in Parthi. I don't know, but maybe it wouldn't have happened, because it was still exams time and preparation. So probably it wouldn't have happened. But, those are all the excuses to go and cry to Swami. And And Swami said, "Oh, ayo papam, it's okay. I'll make sure that it is very cool during the exams. Don't worry." And we said, "Wow, Swami, Swami is, just pacifying us." And, we thought, and anyway, we had to come back. We are preparing for the exam. I think April, the whole month we prepared. The May first week was the exam started. And you will not believe this. It would rain every night in the evenings, and it will cool down the whole day. The next day morning, when the exams are starting, it will be cool. And I still remember running to an exam with on a wet mud on the thing, and then saying that, "Oh God, Swami has made it cool." And I remember running like that. I'm sure my other classmates who are listening to this will also remember this. So that happened in 1983 May. And by the time, I think it was end of May, our exams are over. And by the time the new students for the first year and the third year students have come back, because the college start by the June first week. So they are all come back. And we were just going back for our holidays, for the first year holidays, 2 weeks, I think we went and came back by the June 15th or so. And second year was a very memorable year for us, for at least for our batch, because Swami visited us twice to Anantapur at that year. And whenever Swami visits, it would become like a festive, days. All the students would spring into action. We would decorate the campus, Vedam group, band group. And fortunately, I was part of the band group at that time. I think he has put up the photograph there. I think many of the other, Swami was getting down the car. We were all sitting and playing. Love is my form. That is the song that we played on that day. And of course, Swami, blessed us with Pada Namaskar, all the band students. And after that, and I think that year, the first visit, Swami, I was fortunate to recite Vedam also at that time. I was part of the Vedam group also. So fortunately, both the visits that year, we were able to participate in both Vedam and band, and had the opportunity to get Swami's Pada Namaskar. And the second year, that year, the second year, that is during our second year, the first visit, I think sometime in August or so, I was fortunate to be selected for a singing group. Two of us, my batchmate Lata and I, we practiced Endara Mahanubhavulu, the Thyagaraja krithi. Apart from that, there were two more batches. I think one was Hindustani music, the other was Swami's light music, kind of, the songs, Swami's bhajan songs. And we were not sure as to which one Swami will choose of the various things. I think there were also a lot of other dramas, dance dramas were there. So the time is very limited. So Swami will choose. I think some of them will definitely go, but other things were, chosen by Swami. And we didn't know whether we would be chosen. And fortunately, our song was chosen. Very simple setup. Two of us singing, and there was one of our junior, Padma. She played the mridangam for the song. And we thought, okay, Swami will ask us to sing. Normally, he does that. He would ask us to sing, I think a little bit, maybe for 5 minutes, for a few minutes, and then he would say, okay, and then we would go and take Pada Namaskar, and we would go away. But that song, though it is a very long song, and Swami listened to the whole song. Kasuri uncle was there with him, and later on I heard someone telling me that some other students telling us that Swami was telling Kasturi, "Nuvve Mahanubhavulu," means he was telling, when we were saying Endara Mahanubhavulu, Andariki Vandanavalu. So he says, "Nuvve Mahanubhavulu," means you are the great soul. And of course, he always puts it across to Kasturi and all other his devotees. That was the second year, first visit of Swami. And again, November, Dasara time, we used to go to Patti. November, I was planning to go to my native place, Tirunelveli, for holidays. I wanted holidays in sense after the exams. So the second year had become a semester exam by then. And we had our holidays between Dasara and birthday celebrations. I think we had some 1 or 2 weeks. So I was planning to go to my native place. And I'm sure all the students will agree. Most of us would like to take an opportunity to talk to Swami, say something to Swami, take, so that we get Swami's attention, right? I was very much, I always used to do that. And I wanted to tell Swami, I'm going to my native place. And I was going to say, I was thinking, what should I tell Swami? ஊருக்கு போயிட்டு வரேன் Swami. And then I wasn't sure whether Swami will say, ஊருக்கு போறியா, ஊர் சுத்த போறியா? He will say that. So then I said, ஆத்துக்கு போயிட்டு வரேன் Swami. I was thinking, should I say that? And then he said, ஆத்துக்கு போறியா, ஆத்துல போய் விழு அப்படின்னு something, if he's angry, he might even say that. So I was a little bit worried about that. Then I said, அம்மா ஆத்துக்கு போயிட்டு வரேன் Swami. அம்மா வீட்டுக்கு போயிட்டு வரேன். Then I wasn't sure, because I always used to think that Swami is my mother. So I didn't want to say Amma athukku poittu varen. So I said, Swami veetukku poittu varen. And he said, okay. And then he gave me Paad Namaskar. He didn't say any other, he didn't kind of, chill anything. So then when I returned, I brought back beetle leaves for Swami. I don't know if many of you are aware, in Tirunelveli district, a place is called Atur. And that is my father's, native place. And it's very famous for beetle leaves. And so I brought those with the thing from Swami, and then I applied a little bit of sunam, and then I had Rasikla paku, the thing, and then I folded it and gave it to Swami when I came back during the darshan, and he very graciously accepted it. And those were the time he used to have the pan, and after that, of course, I think he stopped. And I was very happy that Swami gave that blessing of and giving it to Swami. I think the second year of our degree time, Swami again visited during Shankranti. Students performed Bommalugulu. There were a lot of students who did, who had also done the act. What do you call they acted like they were dressed up like I think Jesus and some few other chef and all the stuff. I remember Gayatri Akka doing that, and Sonali or I don't know, but the Jesus Christ one. And Swami also sat in the Jula in the center of the college, and he was he was hearing the singing by few students. And so that was one more very wonderful experience, because when, as I said, Swami visits, it's a festive days for us in the college. Third year also we got very, third year is the final year for us, so we get many privileges. And the final year students will leave soon, so they'll be given all the opportunities. We'll sit in front. And I think Nimi is in the call now. I'm sure she remembers. Nimi, I think you and I managed the student batches, sending the students into the Akan Bhajan in the Mandir, in sending in, batches for them. And, they'll have to come out after 15 minutes, just taking care when Swami is in, and when Swami goes out, sending them out for the food and other things. So we were managing it. And I think the second day, Akan Bhajan morning, there was Swami had left the bhajan hall in the morning after he came for the bhajan and left. And as usual, we were managing the students. We sent the students out for their food, and then another batch of students had come in, and many publics also had left. So I was, both of us used to sit on both the doors, near both the doors, one in the front and the other, and we used to manage the students going in and and coming out. And I think at that time, when it was just kind of settled, because Swami had gone inside, I went and sat near the singers, because I used to sing not often, but in Anantapur college, hostel I used to sing, but not in Mandir. Then Pushpa Madam suddenly said, Vijay, why don't you sing? And Swami had left by then, and there was no mic. I think Swami goes inside. I think there was mic will not be there. If I remember well, that is how it used to be. So there was no mic, and Satyoka was sitting. I think you all know Satyoka. She's now in Australia. She was sitting. She was our teacher, and she had joined us in our final year as a teacher there, and she was also there. And so I sang this bhajan, Hey Madhava, Hey Madhusudana, and we thought that Swami would have gone in he would have gone for, maybe he would be returning only in the afternoon. Suddenly there was a commotion. Swami came out. As I was singing, he was standing near that window, and he just peeped in like that as to who is singing. And I was still, closed my eyes, and Akka was shaking me, and then we saw. I remember that. That was a wonderful experience. I think that's the only time I had an opportunity to sing in Mandir. Then again, the final year time, I think there was a world conference. There was a Balavikas conference that was happening in Patti. And then we had very good opportunity to serve in various again activities. As I said, we used to go for the kitchen activities. I was part of the bookstall. In the bookstall, bookstores, the volunteers would end up coming in at the very last minute, because a lot of devotees will come till the end, and then only maybe 5 or 10 minutes before Swami comes out for darshan, only we'll be coming and sitting in the darshan line. So invariably we'll not be able to get a sit in the front. So one day, teacher had one of our teachers, Ziba madam, had just kept some space for us because we are always coming late. And we went and sat there in the front. Maybe Swami didn't like it, I'm not sure. And Swami started saying, "You are asking them to sit in the second row. I think they wanted to sit in the first row." And he created a bit of a commotion for us. And we were very much in tears, because we were very thankful to madam for doing that. And Swami kind of, he creates some, things like this sometimes to test students, to test us as devotees. And I'm sure even I'm sure Shirdi Sai Satcharita also, we have seen that even Shirdi Sai used to do that, and it was not very different for Swami also. And of course we very fervently asked Swami to forgive, and then of course afterwards Swami blessed us and he said it was fine. And then again during the final year, we went through that was the first sports meet that happened in the university. And those were the days when Swami used to come to Anantapur for the sports meet. And that was the first sports meet. And I was fortunate to be the captain of Shanti House. And we had, the house had won the highest point. So I was blessed to receive the shield from Swami. And our batchmates, we had done yoga display. We have whatever 3 years we have learned yoga. We shared our our expertise to Swami. We did all the yoga, and apart from the yoga, we also did a cycling tricks. We did cycling, and we would do 8 and a lot of positions, and then we would do the yoga posture on a riding the cycle, and Swami, one of the students, I think, I just was going to fall, and Swami became very, kind of very anxious. And later on, he said, "No, you take care. Are you okay?" And he was asking the student, and so all these programs are happening. There were a lot of other, activities and events that were happening. I think some display like what we did for yoga, the final year students, first year, second year students were also planning to do something. And so at that time, I had gone into the college, I think the college building to do some, I think, follow-up, or maybe after the event, sports event, maybe what has to happen, we were going to see overseeing that. And by then, suddenly some student came and running to me and said, "Swami is distributing the prizes. So please come here, you have to get your shield." And so I ran. I think I just kind of simply flew from the college building onto crossing the, I think I was even in the library. I think library was the one where we had some program, I think, next program. So I was running from the library to the college and then to the sports area where the, Shamiana and all the things were, and the events were happening. I just ran and I just removed the shoes as I was entering, and Simon madam was saying, waving her hands, come in, just go, she was saying, she was just giving the thing. And then as soon as I went, and Swami said, Melliga, come slowly, it's okay. And then I went and I went and received the shield. At that time, I was desperately like looking at Swami, because I was happy that I had not miss the opportunity. And then Swami is telling me, akkada chudu, he said. So, saying that, pose for the photograph. And he was looking at the photo and I was looking at Swami. That's how the photo, of course, happened. And then that was one of the wonderful experience. And I was blessed because Simoni Madam later on told me that because Swami had wanted to speed up the events and activities, and so she said that I was going to send another girl to Swami to receive, and it seems Swami said, no, she is not Vijayalakshmi, so let her come. And so that was a blessing I think I'll never forget in my life. There were many such instances, great blessings. Later on, I think in the final year again, we used to again it was with Nimi and I decided that we should ask for MCom from Swami because we had finished a BCom, and at that time only MA was there, MA English and MA Philosophy was there. MCom was not there. And so we started, I think it was starting from January, February, maybe even from maybe middle of the year, I don't remember when, but many darshans, we used to go and sit in various, different places. Like, Nimi will sit on the other side, I'll sit on this side. If I sit on the other side, Nimi will sit on this side. So we will just separate ourselves and sit and ask for Swami for MCom, Swami, MCom, Swami, MCom. I think we kept on asking, and one day Swami got very angry with us. He said, MCom, do MRS. Don't, no MCom. I know he was a little bit, I think he was getting a bit this thing. And he said, Meer iddaru, you are asking me again and again for MCom? No MCom, only MRS. And, he went away. And after that, of course, once Swami says this, we would not be able to ask again. And so we left it. And we had our interview, final year interview. And that was another great experience for all of us in that batch. So Swami led us into the interview room from the mandir because we were all made to sit in the mandir, and Swami, we wanted to go inside the interview room. So he took us through the door where he will normally go after the bhajan, and then he took us into the interview room, and he started talking to us again, as usual, once again, all the, usual advices for girls and things. So that then we were saying, Swami, we have a lot of questions, and all of us were thinking in our mind, and suddenly Swami said, you all want to ask questions, right? Okay, let me stop and you please ask questions. So everybody was asking questions, and I had an opportunity to ask Swami, we see Swami in our dreams, are they true? Because I used to get lots of dreams. I'll maybe if I get time, I'll talk about the dreams later on. And I used to get a lot of dreams of Swami. And so I asked that question to Swami, and Swami said, yes, it's always true. When Swami is not able to come in person and talk to you, he will come and bless you in the dream. That's what he said. And immediately someone asked Swami, sometimes we forget to dreams. Immediate came an answer. That shows your lack of interest. That's what Swami said. And then, of course, during the interview, there were many, Swami was talking to all of us, many students, and individually talking to various students. And then, of course, Swami was blessing everybody, saying, every student saying what they should do next, maybe whatever questions they asked, he answered. And I still remember Nimi and I was standing a little far away because Swami was blessing and talking to each and everyone, and we were standing again because we were again thinking that we will ask Swami for MCom. And we both were standing. Swami himself came to us and he said, you want MCom, right? Do MCA, he said. So that is how he told us to do MCA. Unfortunately, I could not get admission to MCA in Madras. Though Nimi sent a letter to me saying that why don't you come to Bombay and we both can do MCA. She did MCA, I think, and then I could not do. So my brother and my father, they all said, okay, you can't do MCA, do CA, then you can become a master of CA. That is the thing of words they use, and they said, okay, why don't you do CA? That's how I ended up doing CA. And then after, of course, the final year exams are over, and of course, with a very rich experience and a lot of blessings from Swami, and of course, with a heavy heart, I think we went back. However, within a month or so, we got a communication saying that Swami is going to do Grama Seva for the 60th birthday celebrations, prior to the 60th birthday celebration. So we all came back. And at that time, my parents were going for a all India tour and through in a bus along with a lot of other friends and relatives. And we came to Patti. That was, I think that was one of the places to visit. And so at that time, I got off in Patti and I said, I want to stay for the Grama Seva. And I had a good, thanking Swami for that opportunity. Fortunately, I was able to do medical service and medical side. I think the doctors wanted few students and who will be continuously doing the same thing, not one day, not because the students were asked to only go for once in every 2 days because many students were there, so everybody should get opportunity. So we were only going once in 2 days. And for medical support team, the doctors had said, that it's better that the students are the same because it will be very difficult to train 2 batches of students. So I think some of us were there in the medical team. And so we would go every day, fortunate to be, going every day. And we would have early morning, 6 o'clock. So, there will be some, I think there will be some breakfast that will be given to us and we will get into the bus. And at that time, Swami will come out of the mandir and he will wave his hands. And then we would sing bhajans and we will go to the villages for seva. And then evening we'll come back. When we are coming back, I think it'll be almost, I think darshan would have gotten over by then. And Swami will be waiting for the buses to return. And then as the buses enter, he will be there and watching and seeing whether, how we have done for the day. And then he'll come back and talk to us. And fortunately for the people who are going for the seva every day, Swami will give a mango. We all used to sit separate and Swami will give mango. And those days, I think it was 1 or 2 weeks, to be only mango for our dinner and glass of milk. And very, very blessed to be, profusely, getting the affection from Swami. And I think after that convocation in November, the birthday celebrations, 60th birthday celebrations. And after that, of course, I had gone into, I just want to have a time check. Are we okay? Because
I think continue, sister.
I think after that, I went on to do my CA. And then 1990, January, Swami came to Chennai. And there were a lot of programs in Abbotsbury. And so the ex-students, we were all trying to get some maybe area where we can sit so that we can be, we can listen to Swami's speech. And I think the first day they had mentioned that you have to be there by 4:30 or something like that. I think there was a time limit by which we should go. Otherwise, they would not allow, they wouldn't have allowed these ex-students, alumni students. And then unfortunately, my work took longer time and I could not make it by that, time to enter inside. So they said, no, we cannot allow you inside. So when I just came back to my house, it was in Adayar. I'm not sure if any of you are, familiar with the area in Chennai. Adayar is pretty close to Raja Annambalapuram, where Sundaram is located. So as soon as I went home, I just thought, why don't I go to Sundaram? Probably Swami will come back from Abbotsbury. So then I just immediately freshened up and then I went to Sundaram. Was waiting there. I didn't know whether Swami will be coming, has returned, or he has already gone in. He's still there. He hasn't come back because Sundaram, the friend, nobody was there. Not many people were there. It was quite empty. So I wasn't able to say whether Swami has gone inside or nobody is waiting. But then I just said, okay, let me just sit and maybe meditate for some time and then go. And then suddenly commotion. And then Swami is getting down from the car and he's looking at me. And he's talking to somebody. He says, "Epo Vandachi." And I was so thrilled because I missed the Abbotsbury opportunity because I missed Swami's speech. But then Swami was just getting down. It was not even few, I think, meters, maybe 1 or 2 meters. And I was sitting near just in the entrance of Sundaram there. That barricade was put. I was sitting there. And then he just walked like that inside Sundaram. I just got up and said, "Swami, I want to work for Swami. I want to work. I'm Swami's student. I want to work for Swami." And then he said, "Okay, go to university." That's the word he said. And that's when the golden phase of my life started, I would say. Though it was a very short period, but it was very, 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 I'm very thankful to Swami for that opportunity. So that was in January. So again, that entire week, now that you've experienced, I was only going to Sundaram the next day. I'm not sure if Sachoka is listening. She was also there, and other friends were also there. We all started going to Sundaram because it was we could get Swami's close darshan. And afterwards in February, I think first week after Swami returned by, I think mid-Jan or so, February, I went to the registrar to the university and spoke to they called me for a quick meeting. And I thought probably they'll ask me to join the following semester from June. But then they asked me, would you be able to join just for 15 days? Can you come and help? Because we need some help for BCom students. They need some support. And then that evening, I told Swami that this is what it is. And Swami said, Pal Namaskaram Chesko. And so February, I went back and I took 2 weeks leave. And then I came back on the 1st of March in Anantapur. And I was fortunate to have given the opportunity. I could teach the students. I think it used to be mornings, 7 o'clock till late night, various, all the 3 years, batches after batches, accounting, auditing, cost accounting, all the subjects. That Sunday, 4th of March, Swami called the final year students for interview. So I was fortunate to be there. And during the interview, I think there was an interview photo over there where Swami is holding a paper and reading it actually. And principal madam immediately called me and, no, not the other one. Okay, fine. And then principal madam called me and, she called me, she said, just come over. She called me to come near her. And so that she could tell Swami. And she told that, she's an ex-student. She has, finished her CA and she has come. And Swami immediately put his hands on my head and he said, Manchidi Bangaru, Swami ki chala santosham. And then he gave, vibhuti. And, after that, Swami was going in various, all the students were made to form lines. And I think I was also in one of the lines. And then I had a camera in my hand. And when Swami was going like this, and he will go like this, he'll go like this, right? First Pada Namaskar. And I was kind of, jumping lines, I would say, to just to go from one to another so that I could keep taking photos of Swami. And then the third or fourth line, Swami came and he just, took the camera, he said, Dabba. And then he went away. And then I just smiled because Swami has touched my camera, he's saying something, and, whatever Swami is talking to us, right? So I was very happy. And then he went away. And again, Swami came, and when he came towards me again, he said, Swami ki chala santosham, Bangaru. He kept saying that Swami was very, very happy. And that was a very, profuse blessing for me at that time. And after the interview, I go outside the Ganesh entrance. I think there is that Sai Prashanti studio. And when I go and give the camera, he says, there's no reel there inside the camera. And so Swami knew it was a dabba. It was just a box. Of course, I don't have this photographs, but I think the images are still there in my mind. And then, and then after that, of course, again the quiet street, what do you call the drill went on for another week. 11th of March, 10th of March evening, I went and told principal madam. I was taking classes even on the Saturday. And most of the Anantapur students and teachers did not come to Patti on the 11th, that weekend, because the previous week only Swami had given an interview. So they didn't come to Patti. And then I told Swami, I went to principal madam, I told her, madam, I just want to take a day off on Sunday, and then I want to go and see Swami and come back. And she said, okay, go ahead. And immediately, that evening, I went. And on 11th March, Swami had scheduled an interview to the college lecturers in Patti College. And lecturers from Vrindavan had come. And the Patti, I think the primary school, I think all the schools were also invited into that. But Anantapur teachers were not called. And so I think we were only 3 of us, Sushma, I think two more of our, Sushmita and our batch. I think all the lecturers were our batch at that time. And Zeba madam was also there. She went and asked the lecturer in registrar, and he said, no, Anantapur Swami had not given the thing, so we cannot call you to come in. And so what we decided, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll go and sit in the mandir. And as soon as Swami comes, we'll ask Swami. And so we did that. And immediately Swami came out and said, what are you doing here? And we said, Swami, we have come here. Only 5 of us are here from Anantapur, and there is an interview, so we want to ask you whether we can join. I said, Malandi. And immediately we ran to the Parthi, college from Mandir. And Swami was at around 6 o'clock, very early. Swami went for darshan, and he was taking a car. He was getting into the red car and was coming to the college. And we were running, but we were also not running because we cannot run as Swami's college teachers and students. So we were running as fast as possible, and we were near the bus stop. We had just crossed the bus stop. Swami's car went away to the college, and we thought, okay, Swami, we are going to miss. Probably we'll be late, and we are going to miss. We may not be able to enter because we are going to be late. And by the time we entered the college, the door was already closed, and we thought, okay, no, we are not going to get the opportunity. And you will not believe, the moment we go near the gate, near the door opened. Swami was opening the door for us, and we went inside. And there was no place for us to sit, 5 of us, no place for us to sit because it was fully occupied by all the lecturers. Swami told us to sit in front of the chair. I think there is a photograph there. Of course, after the speech, it was taken where Swami was talking to there is a interview space there. I think next. No, previous to that, yeah. Sorry, just you'll have to scroll down a little bit on that. Yeah, that one. That one. This is one. This is the one where this is the college auditorium in Parthi. Swami spoke, and we were sitting in front. And Swami came and asked. He spoke about teachers. Gurus, what is the role of gurus, how they should conduct themselves, how they should teach the students so that we are able to get responsible students into the society, and how important the teacher's role is for building the character of the students, and he spoke only about that. And I'm happy that I'm able to remember this on a Teacher's Day. And he came to us and he said, how was the talk? Normally he will ask after he speaks. Then he said, Swami, it was very nice. And then he said, oh, you were not invited, right? And you all have come in. Adishtavanturalu, he said, means you're all very lucky. And so that was another blessing from Swami to hear that during that so 2 weeks, 2 interviews in the 2 weeks of stay in March 1990. And I think on the 16th of March, 15th of March, the work got over, and 16th, I think the exam started. I came to Parthi to tell Swami, and Swami gave palms. And he was going to Parthi. He was going to Bangalore on that day. I think there were some photos also taken. He goes around, and then he waves his hand, and then he goes into the car, red car. He's there. And on that same day, this one. This one. And there is also one more. There's also one more where Swami's close-up picture is there. This one. This is the 16th of March 1990. Swami was going to Vrindavan. He created Vibhuti for us. And he created even for me, but I didn't receive it because I was sitting and clicking the photograph. And my other teachers around me, of course, they did scold. And Swami gave the blessing to have this photograph, but I didn't have the Vibhuti at that time. But of course, I came back, and my parents were already looking for alliance for my marriage, and so I wasn't sure whether I should go back to Anantapur because it will be a very short period. It will be inconvenience for the university and being there. And then I wrote to the registrar saying that this is what it is, and I may not be able to stay long. So Swami's decision be the final. And then they sent a telegram saying that come and join the summer course in Vrindavan. So I went in May to summer course. Swami had restarted the summer course. after I think 1978 or 79, he had restarted. And I was fortunate to be there. And every day, I think that was the time when Swami was talking. He spoke in quite a few, in lecture, discourses about Sri Balamurli Krishna. I think Swami was talking about some of his singing. And I think most of the days, one of Swami's omnipresence, he showed a lot during that particular stay in Vrindavan, when after the Samakor, after the Swami's discourse, and after the day's event is finished, we would come back. On the way back, we would be discussing on what Swami said, and he meant this, he meant that. We would try to understand and assimilate those lecture things. And I think one or 2 days, if I remember, we were discussing this along with Principal Madam, and Swami came to us and he exactly repeated what we were talking, and he said, "This is what I meant." And to say that, he was clarifying it, because we had the doubt, and he was clarifying it. And then we had a good opportunity to have both, have the dinner along with Swami. He also sat there. He had dinner with all the students and the lecturers. So it was, there were a lot of other very little small instances of experiences with Swami at that time. I may not have much, maybe we're running out of time. So let me just proceed to the other ones. I think then afterwards I came, I think in July, my parents came, and they told Swami about the marriage, because I told my parents, unless Swami says, bless us, please don't go ahead with marriage, because I am now Swami's child. I'm working in Anantapur. Swami has to say, only then you can go ahead and proceed with any even discussions on the marriage. So fortunately, Swami blessed. And so before my parents left for, they were leaving that evening, and Swami blessed my mother with Akshantalu and all the stuff. And then the following week, or July, I went to Madras. I told Swami and went, and Swami gave Pad Namaskar. Came back after the engagement, and I told Swami, engagement ayindi. And he said, he immediately created Vibhuti, and he said, Manchidi Bangaru, Swami ki chala santosham. Swami, mere chesi pettali. I said, Swami, you should only conduct my marriage. And he immediately said, Ledu ma, vaalaki namakam ledu. So you get married and come back, I will bless you, he said. And then I think after that, every week Swami used to bless me. Every darshan Swami used to bless me. One day birthday girls were giving some chocolates, and Swami came, and he would distribute to all the students. So I was sitting in the other side corner. So he came and said, "Ni kuchinda?" I said, "Ledu Swami, no Swami." And immediately he goes back, takes some chocolates, comes and throws it on my lap. And then I always used to think that Swami is my mother. And so when the marriage thing came up, I thought that Swami has to perform the marriage. Maybe I should do more sadhana. I should do something. I think I should do more prayers. I should try to request Swami. And so what I did, one day I went. I started doing that Gauri Vratam kind of prayers, reciting these things. And then I was sitting in the morning, from morning 6 o'clock, I was sitting there. That morning darshan, Swami came straight to me from Mandir. And he said, Pad Namaskaram chesko. And then I did. And he said, Bangaru, I'll bless you later. And he again said he will not be performing the marriage. And then he had a cover on his hand. He took out a rose out of the cover and he threw it on my lap. That was exactly matching the saree I was wearing. And for that Vratam, I wore a new saree, and I said, Swami, you have to bless me. And then that rose, I kept it complete along, I think, with me for a very long time, even, of course, even during the wedding. And then many times, many days, Swami would call me, Pelli Kuturai Katra, and then he would ask me to do some work here and there, distribute some things to people. And it was school students had come from Vizag, and Swami called me and he said, okay, Valaki pencil. He gave me a set of pencils and rubber, and he said, you give it to them. And so Swami also walked. He was going in sprint, and he asked me to come and give it to them. So Swami said, I'll give Vibhuti, no Vidivu. So he said, I'll give Vibhuti, you give those pencils and this. And so we gave. And then I was sitting there after distributing all the vibhuti to everybody. He came to me and gave me a handful of vibhuti packets to me on my lap. And he said, this is for you. And another handful, he said, this is for your husband. And he gave me. And then after that, I think after 1 or 2 weeks, I think, he went to Punasundara Auditorium and he came back. And on the way back, he said, Pelikutra. And then invariably I'll get up. I think it was something like a, this thing nickname at that time. And then I got up. He said, Ni mood parenti, he said. So I very promptly, I said, Swami Sivaram, Donna Pota, Pelli Kaledu, Vadetla ni mood avtadu, how will you become your husband? You have not yet married. So again, another lesson. Swami wants us to be alert always. Very, very strong lesson. Very strong lesson. And such small little ones, very powerful experiences. I think there was one more where Swami was giving robes to students that year. It was August 15th, if I'm not wrong. That was the day when Swami called all of us, all the lecturers. I think I have sent you some photos on that, where Swami, we took the robes and we were holding it, and Swami would, distribute the robes to, that is the one. There were 2 photos on that actually. So he would distribute the, robes to the students. And you would notice that Swami will always be walking behind. There's one more photo, I think, where Swami is walking behind and we would be walking forward. It will always be that way. He would make sure that we are not inconvenienced. He will always take that pain when he does that. And, at that point of time, at that moment where, Swami turned and he was starting to distribute in that what is given in the photograph, someone from the students, they said, Swami, please come to Anantapur. And then, he just turned and he said, why Anantapur? This is your mother's house. And then he turned to me and he said, Kadamma? And then I said, Avunu Swami, again, another, assurance from Swami. And then that same morning after that, he also gave me a robe. And for me, he gave a robe cloth. It was not a stitched robe. And he said, robe cloth guys, I'm giving you a robe cloth. You cut a chudidar and wear it, he said. you may make it into a chudidar and wear it, he said. And then, we just said, Swami, thank you. And then we went inside the mandir. We were, waiting for Swami to come for the bhajan. And as usual, closing your eyes and, just, looking, reliving whatever Swami has said and everything. And suddenly commotion. And Swami is asking, where is Pellikutru? And he comes and says, Pellikutru ekada. And then he comes towards me and he said, okay, take, this is for your marriage. And he gave me a marriage sari. And he asked me to take Namaskar. But the moment he gave that sari, I started crying. I was crying uncontrollably, without stop. I was kept on crying, and I don't know why. And I was close. My eyes were closed, and I was crying. And then again a commotion. Again somebody was pushing me from behind. Swami is coming, and then I just looked up and he said, "Aa cheera ichche, ee cheera teesko." He took that old sari and he gave me a new sari, and he said, "Deentlo blouse undi." He says, there is a blouse here, so you cut it and stitch it. And then he again asked me to take Namaskar, and then after that my crying stopped. I don't know whether Swami cut my bad karmas. I also think sometimes that Swami is the embodiment of all the, he is very, very particular about certain practices, the customs. So saris are given only with a blouse. So he wanted to make sure that for the wedding he gives that, and in whatever it is, I'm blessed. I'm very, very thankful to Swami for whatever he has given. And then evening I was sitting in the darshan, and in the darshan line. Fortunately for lecturers, we used to sit in front. So I was saying, Swami, thank you, Swami. And then he said, "Nee talliki thanks choptava, he says, will you tell thanks to your mother? Another confirmation, another reassurance. So, I think, I think there were a lot, these are some of my main experiences, something which is very valuable. I think it'll remain in my, with me always. Those were the lecturer days. And then I think after marriage, I could not go to see Swami. Though Swami said, "Pelli cheskunira," I could not go to Swami because by then my husband was not having the leave. After he had only some 2 or 3 days for his office, so he had gone off to his workplace, and I was in Hyderabad, so I could not. I didn't want to go to see Swami without him, so I didn't go. And afterwards, when we were able to, I think it was various turn of events, and then the next time I could go to Swami was only when my first eldest son was born. He was 3 months old, and we went there. And as promised, Swami came and he blessed. He blessed me. He also blessed my husband there, and he blessed even my baby. He put honey on his tongue and akshantalu on his head, and he blessed. And Swami, definitely he keeps up his promise. Only that I could not go on time. Though Swami said they are not my devotees. And one of the days, I think he had told teachers, "Valu, na devotee. They are my devotees." Means I think he's referring to my husband's side, and he was telling them. And then later on, I realized they are very staunch devotees of Shri Sai Baba. And so Swami knows. But it doesn't make difference for us, but Swami knows, and he blesses according to whatever is due and whatever is we need to really be we have to pray that Swami always blesses us with such experiences. Post marriage, as I said, I went there, and then of course in Madras was part of support service activities, Narayan Seva, old age home, support, and I think there was also some summer course that was done for college students in Madras, and so we went to Patti after that along with those college students, and Swami again blessed, and we all had an opportunity to sit in a small enclosed area near the mandir, and Swami blessed us, and we had all planned to sing some song, and we sang that, and I was just crying, and Swami came and he said, "Don't cry. With Swami, you should never cry." And so it was always an assurance from Swami, and I try my best not to cry. And Swami, and I think as we experience Swami's presence around us, it always keeps us very strong and very, very, focused on our, what we want to get from Swami. Of course, 2004, I went off to Japan, and again there was a dream in which Swami came and blessed me. He said I was going into into an aircraft, and Swami is standing just on the entrance of the aircraft. I'm just climbing up the steps, and he says, "Pada namaskaram teesko." And then the dream, I didn't know at that time I was slated to go to Japan, and at the same time that my husband got that opportunity, and then we went to Japan, and I was not visiting the center at that time because there was a unfortunate, I think there was some kind of a different, I think some organization which had caused some issues in Japan. There was a poisonous gas that was put into a subway. Many of you may have been aware of it. So after that, my husband did not allow me to go to the center. He said no, and even children were very young, and we didn't have any help there, and we were trying to understand and cope up with this new place. And then, but however, I was working in various organizations in Japan, Lehman Brothers, Nomura Securities, and I think Volvo. And I think in all these, and AIG, all these companies, wherever I was working, I used to, I used to be part of the philanthropic activities all the time. So that was one thing I used to say, "Swami, I'm doing this for you." And we would go for various, Narayan Seva or painting of the, old age home, schools, and the some, I think, special needs schools. And then, in office itself, we used to do for mural painting for, hospitals, and then the ribbon making for the breast cancer awareness, and then there is something called Zemba Zuru. They make some 1,000 crane in origami, and then they will send it across to hospitals and praying that the patient should get well soon. And then we had also done some toys drive for terminally ill children, and we used to collect from the various our colleagues, and we used to go and give it. So I was actively participating in many of them. And one such things, Narayana Seva, I had gone to a place for vegetable cutting, and I think after that vessels cleaning was happening. There was one Japanese lady, she came and asked me, "Are you from India?" I said, "Yes, I'm from India." And then, "Do you know Sai Baba?" That was the second question. And I said, "Yes, I know." And then she said, "Where do you live?" Then I said, "I live in a place called." Yes, I told her the place, and he said, "Very close to that place, there is a center where bhajan is happening, and so would you like to go there?" And I said, "Yes, I would like to go." And then she gave me the address, because it was very close to her house, and it was held at a very, maybe some community hall. I thought I would try to go, and that's when I started going into the center. I think almost after 2 years of going into Japan. But afterwards, of course, sadhana camps, some, various activities whichever Swami blessed me to join, I would join. And 2010, again, Swami gave that opportunity to set up a center in near our area, because there were a lot of Indians coming in, and we thought, the Sai center was pretty far, so why don't we have a center done near the place where a lot of Indians were there. So we set it up, and fortunately, I was able to also continue the Balavikas. And very recently, we have started the Veda class. And Swami's hands we can see all the time, be it work. I would like to add maybe one or two, if time permits, if time is available, I would like to add one or two experience in Japan. Anupama, are you okay?
Yeah, absolutely, sister. Please continue. That's fine.
I think one thing was, I think, I had just joined the company. It was a very senior position at that time. And then I was sitting, and I think I was in a very casual meeting with some members there. And there was suddenly one person came and gave me a sheet of paper with a lot of information, lot of graphs, metrics. And then he gave it to me, and I said, "No, this is not for me." And because I was new at the time, and so he just left it on my table and went away. And the next meeting or something like that, the same day, I was called into a meeting because I was a newcomer, and I was called into a meeting, and they discussed about the topic. And this information, that sheet was for that topic of that meeting, a topic actually. And that sheet of information gave me that knowledge or the information to be able to speak up and give ideas. And that was a very great help, or I would say Swami's hands is there even without our knowledge. And I didn't really expect that this would happen. And after that, okay, then Vijay becomes a kind of a very important person in the organization, right? So Swami makes that happen. And this is not once, I think multiple times. And I try to, because I try my best to teach the fellow colleagues, especially things like, we need not always oblige, but speak obligingly, because you will know many of these, office organizations, the style of speaking is very, very, different. And, then being very timely, and then being very, but very, if you commit something, chopinattu chestara. Swami is, very first, this thing. When you commit something, you have to do it. Otherwise, don't commit. Things like that. And telling our team members, you are meeting with various people. Talk to them softly, kindly. Help ever, hurt never. These kind of small snippets which Swami has taught us. I always think that Swami has extracted the essence of so many of these, Upanishads, Vedas into these simple say teachings for us. Watch your words, watch your thoughts. virtual action. So these are all some things that Swami has taught us. What I strongly believe is that if we are able to adopt and follow even one or two items, I think that is the best offering that we can give it to Swami. I remember once this is a very big thing that happened. There was an event there was a music event that was happening, and we as a family had gone. My husband and I had gone driving to that place, and we were taking turns and driving because it was a little long drive, and we were coming back, and it was a highway, and there were 3 lanes. The rightmost is the very fastest, and the second is the medium speed, and the third one is the slow speed, right? I think you all are aware of that. And I was going in the medium speed. I didn't want to go by the very fast one. I was calmly going, and by I think, I don't know what happened, I just suddenly turned to my right. There was a car that was coming behind. I felt as if the car was coming very, very at a very high speed, and it was coming and it was going to hit me. That is the angle I saw. Maybe it was a mistake, but I felt that it was the same. And I suddenly put the brake, which is not allowed in the middle, the middle speed one. And I just said, Sai Ram, and then I put the brake because I thought that person is going to come and hit. And I think fortunately that the person went away, and I had stopped the car. And my husband was getting so angry at me, and he said, why are you stopping? This is not allowed. And and then my hands are shaking, and then I quickly kind of gathered, and I just said, Sai Ram, and then I put it behind, and just to the slow speed and to the side one, I stopped there. And then I was trying to kind of again and again say Sai, the Gayatri. And my husband was getting very angry with me at the time. And then I had a choice. I could just simply get off the wheel, and then I can ask my husband to drive, or I can continue. Then I thought for a minute, Swami, you're there with me. I shouldn't do this, because if I do this now, I'll never be able to take the wheel. So I said, no, I'm going to continue. I'll give you at the time, at the agreed place of whatever kilometers. We went ahead. And what I saw later was pretty shocking for me, because there were many such kind of accidents on the highway, wherein one after the other, one above the other, the cars were getting piled up. So as I had stopped there, I'm sure if there was something else coming behind, it would have definitely be on top of this car. And that was one thing. I came back and I said, Swami, no, without you, this would not, I wouldn't have come up safely here now. So that was one thing where I felt Swami's invisible hands handling us for us. Many such cases, many such experiences. One more thing I could share is very recently, we were trying to move from the central part of the Tokyo to a suburb area. And we were trying to dispose of our house, and we were trying to, get another house in the suburb area. And I had a Swami's dream. This was this Jan, and Swami says that Swami shows a blueprint or a design to me, and I told Swami, no, this is not something that we have in our list, because we have been looking at various models, various designs, around 15 or 20 houses we have gone and seen. I very clearly tell Swami, no, Swami, this is not there with us. And then he smiles at me, that's it. And then, of course, the dream ended there at that time. And then I got up and I had some water, and then I was remembering that. And then I went back to sleep. Again, Swami's dream. We were living at the 25th floor in that apartment. And then Swami is there in I think maybe 19, maybe some lower floors. Swami is searching like this. And I'm there, and I'm not even making efforts to go down to see Swami, what are you doing? But that was the dream in this thing. And so these two things happened the same day, the same night, with just, maybe gap. Within 2 days, we were searching for the houses, right? A new house came into us, and that got finalized within few days. And we could move. Because we could move on time, that got sold. We could really sell it on time. Again, as Swami looked at here and there below, it was exactly a person who was living downstairs somewhere who bought the house from us. So that dream was something that I thought that Swami's hand was there. He took care of the thing happening at the right time, handling the, avoiding various other dependencies. So, we could go on and on with what Swami does for us. So dreams, yes, Swami's has always go with the point that when Swami cannot come and tell us in person, he does it in the dream. And so I every day, of course, I continue to pray, Swami, please come in my dream. I'm sure all of us do. So I think we can continue more and more, many such experiences. But I think there are a lot of lessons learned from Swami. I think that's one of the points that Anupama had asked, what is the lesson learned from Swami? I think Swami has taught us many things. And he had also made sure that we pay attention to what he's telling. He says, he used to tell us, I think during the summer course, 1990, I think the invigilation was happening. The students were writing their exams for the summer course. Swami came to us. He suddenly said, do you understand that Swami is living and showing? Swami's life is his message. Do you understand that? So he said that, and that is always, kind of keep coming in my mind all the time. I only look at few aspects, as I said, self-discipline, and then treating people. I think the management lessons Swami has given us. Time waste is life waste. And then health is wealth, help ever, hurt never. Start early, drive slowly. I keep telling my children, these are some things that we have to follow. And if we follow these minimum stuff, it becomes a sadhana for us. As life itself becomes a sadhana. And then, we are on our own spiritual journey. I think that is what I think with all the things that has happened. I'm sure Swami has given a lot. I have a lot to give back to society. I'm looking for that opportunity again from Swami. And that again, one dream, Swami said, Swami, I want to do service. When Swami says, will you do anything that I tell you? And I says, yes. And then after that, the dream got over. So I'm still waiting for the command from Swami. I'm sure it'll come very soon. Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, sister. It was I wish I could tell you that there's no time. There's nothing called time, and please continue. I mean, I wish there were no limitations of time at all. We could just listen to the Swami's experience as a whole day, without respite, definitely. And after listening to experiences, I'm amazed how Swami shines through each one of us. Right, his divinity. Once we become hollow and surrender to him, and that's one of the biggest, cherished lessons we've got being a student or being a devotee as well. That you just become hollow, surrender to him, and you see the way he shines through you to make you capable of doing something that is capable of being offered to God, right? That is God worthy, right? Worthy of God. And it is nothing that is us, it's him completely. And and your experiences were a reflection of that. It's such a beautiful reminder to each one of us here that we are nothing, he's everything, again and again. And once we surrender to him, how beautifully the divine intelligence shines through us. There's nothing that cannot be achieved. There's nothing. I mean, your life was a best example. Be it music, be it sports, be it academics. You just surrendered to him, and he made you shine everywhere, as I say. So thank you so much, sister. And there's so much to learn from you. So much to learn. I mean, his omniscience, his omnipresence, and feeling him everywhere, and offering whatever we do, even the mundane tasks to him. That is where divinity is. It's not about those huge achievements or huge shield-worthy or laurel-worthy achievements. It's those mundane little activities. If we can see him there, if you offer it to him, that's more than enough, right? I mean, that is where we start at least. At least we get that right, then everything else falls into place. Thank you so much, sister. And I hope we can, if possible, we can fix another evening of satsang with you to listen to you even more, to those experiences that we had to miss out because of shortage of time. I would also love to listen to you about the Japanese doll making, which you were mentioning earlier.
Sure.
Yeah, let's see. With Swami willing, it may happen soon. Let's surrender to him again. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us this blissful evening, for making us feel him.
Thanks.
Making us
Thanks to
feel
Swami. Thanks to all of you for giving that opportunity, because I could also relive and share that with all of you. I'm so happy that Swami gave that opportunity to us.
Yes, absolutely, sister. This is his will. This is his prasadam. Thank you so much. Absolutely. So please, all of us, join me in concluding this beautiful satsang with 21 Samasta Lokas. And yeah, and with that we end. Thank you so much, sister, for being with us, for coming, for talking to us today. Oh. समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु 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 ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. Thank you so much for joining.